Yeah. So what's the good word, everybody? It's your boy Lamar Jamal, chilling on my podcast, Four Corners. I am super excited that you decided to check it out, to listen, to view, to pay attention. I hope you have questions. I hope I challenge you enough to have you walking away and maybe scratching your head a little bit and saying, I might have some things to address. I might have some things to adjust. Small adjustments, man, can bring about big change. As I promised you, I want to be consistent with these podcasts every Saturday. I endeavor to record them in the morning. However, I was not able to today because, believe it or not, I attended my Uncle Melvin Brown's funeral. And so your boy Lamar's heart is a little bit heavy because I will miss him. And I am doing my very best, as I want to encourage you through this podcast, to remember the good times, remember the impact that people have made on your life. Maybe you're dealing with loss. Maybe you've lost a loved one, a friend, family, a mother, a father. I know I previously mentioned I lost my father years ago to cancer. Thank God my mother is still alive and here with me today. And so I value and cherish those relationships. Hear the word, relationships, because this is partly what I am going to be talking to you about today. Relationships, and even going forward. I don't like the word series because then it just sounds like, okay, it's kind of scripted and this, and that. I want my podcast to be unscripted. I want it to be transparent. Most of all, I want you to walk away with some things, like I said, to think about, man. As I told you, my mission statement is to challenge all, inspire some, and win one. How do I do that? I do that by being real, by being honest, by talking to you first and foremost about me. You'll never hear a you and that type of thing. No, this is a we and us and I will always lead by example because I want you to understand that you're talking to a real man, a real dude that has feelings and emotions the same way that you do. And so my podcast, Four Corners, every Saturday, people ask, well, Lamar, why Four Corners? I will explain that, and I'll probably say that at the beginning of each podcast just so that it really sticks in there. I believe what makes up every man, woman, boy, and girl on the face of this earth, and it might not necessarily be in this order, but maybe it is. Number one, what you learn inside the home, what you're learning inside the home, the example mom set for you, the example dad set for you. And let's even go a little bit further than that. What if you didn't have an example set by mom and a dad? Because there are people that have grown up without a mom and a dad. There are people that have had surrogate parents, foster parents. You might have been bounced around house to house, this, that, and the other. I would believe that over time, that could make you feel insignificant. It can make you feel not loved. No one wants me. Don't act like you guys don't know what I'm talking about. I have definitely dealt with abandonment issues and different things like that and felt overlooked and insignificant. And how come, why this, why that? So goes the story. How come they didn't choose me? How come I didn't make the team? Where was my mother when I needed her? Where's my father when I needed him? You might have sibling rivalries, the whole 9 yards, okay? And this is serious stuff because this has everything to do with the relationship component, with how you interact with people, how you shape your world, how you're able to gel or not gel, the type of signals you receive from people when they might say something simple to you. You might be thinking, well, what do they want? And they're just simply trying to get to know you and to show some love. So what you learn inside of the home. Number two, the people that you hang around. I hung around some pretty cool cats when I was young, but then I also put myself around people that they wanted to get into trouble, they wanted to create mischief, and they did that, and I followed. I was a follower when I was younger. I believe I am a natural born leader, but because of the choices of the people that I may have hung around, we found and we had different things in common that took me directions that I didn't necessarily want to go. I had family members who sold drugs, family members who carried guns, family members who were in and out of jail. And I'll tell you, I was this close, un poquito. I was this close to taking that route. By God's grace, I never killed anyone. I never got to that place of carrying guns and weapons and stuff like that. But I did sell enough drugs to know that that wasn't the life for me. I said it in one of my songs. I sold enough crack knowing that that wasn't the call for me. Standing out there worrying about selling to a detective or something crazy. It's like, no way. Driving around and worrying about different things that you have in your vehicle. Am I going to be pulled over? Am I going to be stopped, etc.? And so I had to distance myself from people, places, and things that represented that type of lifestyle, because that lifestyle wasn't for me. Loved them like my brothers, loved them like my sisters, but because they chose a route and chose a lifestyle that I knew, well, where I'm hoping and trying to go in life, that's not going to be conducive for me, and that's not going to be beneficial. So what you learn, or what you're currently learning inside of the home, who you hang around, you become like who you hang around. The music you listen to, woo! This is dear and precious to me because I'm a recording artist, as you see in the back, one of my posters, how I've been grinding. Recording artist. My first CD is called Rated R. That R stands for Righteous. My second CD, All Terrain. And my third CD, Side View, which I am out of copies right now. I try to write music that if there's a young person that's listening to my music and they say, well, who's a Lamar? They don't know me. I'm not Kendrick Lamar or anything like that. I'm not famous and don't have that big name, but I've touched enough people's lives through this music that even though the young men who have heard my music years ago and even currently, who are now older and grown, they can say, yo, that dude was talking about some real stuff. I would never, ever, 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 ever take the opportunity to get into the studio and record garbage. How many hoes you've been with, calling women out of their name. Women, shame on you. And this is a side note. I don't understand why you accept dudes calling you out of your name. Oh, that's my B. Really? Is that what you want to be identified as? That's for another day. What you learn inside the home, who you hang around, the music you listen to, and lastly, what you watch on television. I guard myself with what I watch on TV. I am an action thriller, what's gonna suspense, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, that type of thing. I'm a part-time actor myself. You know, I've been in a couple of independent movies and stuff like that, but I have a bigger vision one day to have my own sitcom, and I want something wholesome for the family. We've gotten away from what I call wholesome television, and I know everybody's opinions and different things, they differ there. So here we go. What you learn inside the home, who you hang around, the music you listen to, what you watch on TV. Four corners. I believe that shapes the corners, the parameters of people's world, of their life. Somewhere, somehow, you've been affected and infected by mess. There's been pollution and different things that have been put in our minds, in our hearts, things we've watched through our eyes, things we've listened through our ears. Those are gates. Those are gates on the inside of people. And so, again, you know, having these podcasts, which is such a beautiful thing, is because you can reach people globally through social media, through Facebook, through, you know, Instagram or whatever you do, through having a podcast, okay? But I want to take these opportunities to talk about the real, to talk about real life. I want your feedback. I warrant your feedback. You guys can hit me up on the email, lamarsvoices@gmail.com. And please, 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 I'm asking for your help to check out my YouTube channel, to like, share, and subscribe. Lamar's Voices Boston. I want to be a loud, positive, challenging voice out of Boston, challenging, all inspiring. Some, as I said in my last podcast, not everybody wants to be inspired. Some people are comfortable being one of those ones that are just drinking under the bridge and telling the same old stories to each other. Okay? I'm not an angel. Can't say I never had a drink, and can't say I never, drink a beer or what have you, but I want more out of life. I want to go further in life. I want to touch people's lives, etc., etc. Okay? So this is an I, we, us podcast. Did you hear me? I, Lamar Jamal, we, you, us. What can we do about the things that we are currently involved in? And so again, Uncle Melvin, family, man, I'm here for you, praying for you. I know what it's like to lose and to lose people that their presence in your life, when it's missed, it matters. Their weight in your life. I want you to understand something. There are people in your life that their weight and their presence carries more than someone else. And I'm talking any type of relationship, romantic relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, husbands and wives, father to son, father to daughter, mother to son, mother to daughter, your spouse, especially relationships with people at the job, co-workers, colleagues, your partners, athletes, people that you play sports with, etc. There are people that the things that they say matter more. There are things that they represent in your life matters more. There's a heavier weight when me as a father, when I speak to my son Joshua and my daughter Sarah, and I say, I'm proud of you. That goes further than a teacher, God bless them, who had them for 4 years and taught them science, English, math, what have you. That same teacher can say, you know what, Josh, you know what, Sarah, I'm super proud of you. Go out in the world and make something of yourself. Now, I can turn around as a parent and say, I was right there when you were delivered. I talked to you while you were in your mother's womb. You learned my voice. You heard my voice. And I told you Dad loves you, and that I'm going to do everything within my being to set you up to be successful in life, to be balanced in life. Your definition of success and mine may differ. Your definition of success might be to, graduate and go to college and graduate from there and go to law school and all that other stuff. Beautiful. Awesome. We need more God-fearing, intelligent, clean living, attorneys, defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, what have you. But as for me, the weight that I carry in my children's lives is that I was always present. I never missed a beat. Okay, I cleaned up the throw up and the diarrhea, the all of that stuff. You were there when they take their first steps. You were there when they said their first words. You were there that day as time fast forwarded and you were having your first day of them going to school, and the absolute meltdown and separation anxiety that child experienced because they thought, man, this is the last time I'm going to see my parent. And I'll tell you this right now, I never forget those things, because it's those things that today, that as my children are now young adults and they still want dad and they still want mom in their lives, is because I took time with my children to build relationships. And so for the next few moments, I want to talk to you about relationships. Okay, there are several types of relationships that I already mentioned. I'm talking to you today about pure, wholesome family relationships that you had, you have, or you want. You had. You might have lost those relationships, and I'm not talking about because the people are dead and no longer on earth. I'm talking about because you did something, or they did something, that you guys are no longer speaking, you're no longer interacting the way you once were. I'm going to say this to you right off the top, and it might not be as popular as you might want it. It takes a level of maturity for someone to admit when they're wrong. You can sit and argue. You can have knockouts, blowouts. For me, I was not always balanced when it came to handling conflict. I didn't always know how to have a reasonable, rational conversation with someone. And so sometimes, especially with dudes, when dudes get all macho and their ego, this and the other, we end up throwing blows, okay? And sad to say, okay, great relationships that were once that are not anymore, and I don't want that in my life. Okay, I'm a man that has lived life, and I've touched a lot of people's lives, but I know that I've also messed up some relationships that I'll never be able to know and discover what those relationships were meant to be. I don't want you to be in that situation. And so it takes a level of maturity for someone to turn around and say, yo, my B, I was wrong. I could have talked to you differently. I could have said this or that differently. It takes a level of maturity, even for you, when you know you're right, but for the sake of keeping the relationship and keeping the relationship healthy, you take the higher road. You say to yourself, and you know you said it, I've said it. Why should I apologize? I didn't do nothing to them. Yo, they can do this and F that and this and all of that stuff and all that wasted energy. And it's a proven fact that it's going to take you more energy putting off that negative energy. You see the person, you avoid them. You're in the same room, you don't acknowledge them. You act like they're not there. Are we 10? Are we 8? Come on now. We have to get past these things. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because me being at my uncle's funeral today, I'm grateful that they didn't have to make up things about his life to say good, because he was genuinely a good dude that loved people, God-fearing, loved his wife, loved his children and his grandchildren. He had a lot that he could brag about. Played pro basketball, and the amount of people that he worked with that went on to play other sports and different things like that. The example that he was as a man of God, wanting young men to understand that in order for you to have balance and guidance and discipline and different things in your life, you need to have a relationship with God, and not Bible thumping them and beating them over the head, but actually living out that example. These are relationships. These are the types of things that I'm talking about, that when me and you have a tiff that has the potential to be a blowout, I'm going to think, look, I've had too many good times with him or her, and their presence matters in my life. Their weight that they speak in my life matters. The weight that I carry, speak in their life matters. I'm not going to go to bed and act like I didn't do something that I could have fixed. Again, even if it was 80-20, if it was something simple that you said to a person, you know what, I gave you a tone that you didn't deserve. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a problem or an issue with someone or something, and whatever you built up in your heart and mind concerning that someone or that something, you took it out on someone else that didn't deserve it? I have, and it's wrong. Okay, it's wrong. Okay, it's what you called misdirected and misguided anger. You shot a missile at someone who did nothing but love you, try to be consistent in your life, there for you, prayed for you, helped you monetarily, allowed you to stay at their crib when your relationships at home was out of whack and you needed to escape. That person that didn't just turn around when you told them, man, I feel like I'm going over, like I'm about to go over the edge, like I'm about to lose my mind. They didn't just tell you, well, come on, let's just go out and have a drink, everything's going to be all good. No. That's not even good support, and that's not good advice, okay? Because you having a drink and getting nice and getting blunted and all that other stuff, that problem is not going anywhere. It's still there. In fact, it may get worse because you haven't dealt with it. My first point in this podcast on this subject of relationships, look at you first. What role do you play in the relationships that you have? What role do you play as a husband? What role do you play as a wife? What role do you play as a mom? What role do you play as a dad? You hear people say, oh, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. You know what? I'm gonna say this about lanes. Some of us make lanes fit or not fit, slim or wider, based upon it working for us. Okay? For example, a father like me who played football, my lane was sports, sports, sports. Especially my son. I want my son to play sports. I want him in particular to play football, okay? But when I started to teach him football and baseball, and he said to me, Dad, I'm not interested in those things. I just want to play basketball. I had to stay in my lane and understand that the best thing that I can do for my son is to recognize what's important to him. And now, how can I support him? How can I love on him while helping him to be everything that he possibly can be as a balanced young man in life, and helping him now to hone in on his craft and understand, son, this is a mindset that you have to adopt. Others may, I may not. You're telling me you love basketball. You just want to play basketball. Now I have to talk to him about some of the things that I did that prevented me from going to the next level. Some, we don't put drugs in our body. Okay? You don't practice half speed. You don't back down and be intimidated because people are bigger or faster or stronger than you. That has everything to do with the relationships and stuff that we have in life. The relationships that we've tried to cultivate with people that maybe didn't work because they were smarter than you and they let you know it. Okay, because they could beat you in a fight and they let you know it. Or because maybe they were better looking than you and they let you know it. Maybe because their accomplishments or their education or what have you. We can go on and on and on and on down the list. But once you become secure in your own skin and who you are, and you become comfortable with who God made you and how God made you, you're going to begin to see some things happening in your life that'll blow your mind. And then you ask how this has to do with relationships. This is how it has to do with relationships. You don't go into that relationship looking to see what you can get. You go in that relationship looking to see what you can give. That's deep. I promise you, that's deep. You go into that relationship saying, what can I do to make this person's life better? When I ask them, yo, what's good with you? You haven't been your normal self. Are you ready for them to tell you the real? And they tell you, well, actually, man, or actually, girl, sis, however you talk, I'm in a situation where I was unfaithful in my relationship. I've had those conversations. I've been on both sides of those conversations where I absolutely knew I so screwed this up and my life is over, and your life is not over. I need a friend, two at the most, someone that's going to tell me the truth in love, someone that's going to tell me, yo, what you did is not okay, and you owe to make this situation correct. This thing on relationships, listen to me, the subject alone is so broad that we can stay on this, hear me, for months, because there's so many different relationships. If, okay, you like me have been hurt by relationships and you have what they call trust issues, where I don't just trust everybody. I don't just sometimes I don't just take at face value what people say to me. I want people to show me some things. I want you to be consistent in my life. I don't want you being here today and gone tomorrow, because then I wish that I really didn't even open up to you and share my deepest and darkest with you. Especially don't turn around and I talk to you about things in confidence and then I hear it repeated later, which I know I only talked to you about it, and then someone else came back and said it to me, and I know that was the last interaction that you and I had. That brings me to another point. Think about the last interaction that you had with someone and the relationship mattered to you that didn't go well. Ask yourself a couple of questions. Number one, what did you do to make it not go well? What have you done since? I don't care if it was yesterday, last week, last month. What have you done since to try to fix it? Lastly, where do you want it to go? Is it important enough for you to say, I value him, I value her, I value them? And even more important than any of this, and think on this, I'm going to catch up on this next time. Have you forgiven yourself? I've had to ask myself forgiveness like you can imagine. Lamar, forgive me for putting this inside of your body. Lamar, forgive me for swinging at that person and we could have talked it out. Lamar, forgive me for, maybe making this person, woman, or whatever, feel like they're so important to you and you had ill motives. Yeah, ill motives. Motives that are just going to be self-pleasing and self-seeking and that type of thing. I told you guys in my book here, Unscripted Transparency, the Lamar Callahan story. This is what this book is about. This is about me having to make amends with people that not every time people say your name or they hear your name, it doesn't put a smile on people's face. Some people may say, I hate that dude, or I can't stand her, I can't stand him. And the easy route is for you to say, well, I don't care, F them. Okay, that's easy. Not me. Okay, I'm the further I go in life, the older I get, the wiser I get, and the more mature that I get, I understand that relationships matter. I play a role in them. I want them. I'm a relationship guy. I love to build relationships with people over time. What I hate the most is for me to meet someone or to meet a group or this, that, and the other, and then I do something to mess things up and that I will never discover what that person was supposed to be to me and what I was supposed to be to them. What influence I could have had on them, what influence they could have had on me. Four Corners Podcast, what you learn in the home, who you hang around, the music you listen to, and what we watch on TV has everything to do with this relationship piece, because rest assured, a lot of these things we watch on TV, it shows you the dirtiness of people. It shows you the intents of man's heart, man. That dudes are cold and wicked, man. We can kill a person. We can, a reputation is the hardest to build and the easiest to lose. You say the right thing to the wrong people or the wrong thing to even the right people, and that person's life is ruined. And now they have to deal with the shame and the guilt of whatever they've done wrong or where they've fallen short, which we all have. Man, you guys better get ready for this Four Corners Podcast. I'm trying to tell you something. I'm going to drop some real stuff on you about some real life stuff. Remember, this is an I, a we, and an us. I endeavor to keep these podcasts short, 30 minutes or less. I want your feedback, Lamar's Voices at gmail.com. Hop on the podcast. Okay, I'll be posting these things on Facebook. Give me some feedback. Let me know some things that you want to talk about. Let me know some relationship struggles that you've had. Listen, by default, I've learned an awful lot that I want to share with you. I want to help. I want your life to be better because I'm in it. I want my life to be better because you're in it. It's your boy Lamar Jamal. Okay, we are on a Saturday. What's the date? I think today's the 15th or something. Yeah, I think today is the 15th. These podcasts will be every Saturday. Okay, again, I want your feedback. Lamar's Voices at gmail.com. Like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Okay, Lamar's Voices Boston. We're talking about relationships, you all. Relationships that matter. And let me let you in on a secret. Every relationship matters. Okay, every relationship matters, even relationships in its fetal stages, because you have an opportunity to set some groundwork and to set a foundation that you guys can build on love and trust. It's very hard for you to build where there's no trust. It's very hard for you to build when you have selfish motives and it's gimme, my name is Jimmy. Okay, it's very, very hard to build on that. I'm hoping that to give you something to think about. Okay, something to challenge you to say, I can't leave that situation the way it is. Listen, people could be here today, gone today. Not here today and gone tomorrow. They could be here today and gone today. I went to a funeral today of a beautiful man in the form of my uncle that I will never get to have these kind of conversations again on this side of heaven. So think about that. As always, I love you. Holla back at your boy. Peace.